go. Going live. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome today to our Tmbt radio program, Above the Rim. And today I'm truly blessed to have two of my brothers with me who are heavily entrenched in the youth sports and the basketball, high school basketball. I'm really blessed today to have Coach DARRYL Watts from Armstrong High School. And also I'm blessed to have one of my childhood friends, Dale SEAY, here with me today to give his parental perspective. He also has a son, 15 years old, Brandon, who is a high school basketball player. And so we're blessed today to have the perspective and opinions of a legendary coach in Coach DARRYL Watts, and also here with Warner C. I want to say thank you to you guys for being with me today.
Thanks, man. No problem.
Thank you. We're going to jump right in. Of course, you guys know Coach DARRYL Watts. Coach DARRYL Watts does so much for my program, just with his positive energy. He is always offering his services for his gym and just his knowledge to our kids. So it's one of those things where we are truly blessed. I know they had a game last night, but Coach, we're truly blessed to have you here with us and have so much to talk to you about high school basketball and college and middle school. But just wanted you to talk a little bit about yourself, to introduce yourself to the people who don't know you, and just talk a little bit about yourself, please.
DARRYL Watts, Armstrong High School. I'm in my 16th year at Armstrong as the head coach. Started out as a recreation coach and worked my way up to being a varsity basketball coach. And I talked to a great coach, Dave Robbins from Virginia Union, former coach of Virginia Union. And he was telling me the time that he coached, it was a lot of trial and error. And that's where I am. There's a lot of trial and error. We played last night, immediately played the game back in my head to think what I could have done differently to have the outcome to work out in my favor. So it's a process.
It's definitely a process, Coach. You hit it right on the head. It's a process that, like you said, after 16 years, I'm sure that you are well equipped and well aware of what that process takes, and it's not for everyone. And so for someone to be coaching for 16 years, I think it says a lot about them from a heartfelt standpoint. You don't do something for that amount of time without loving what you do and caring for the kids. And so I'm a testament. I've seen you, how you spend countless amounts of money and time, and you take kids home after practice, and then of course you have to stop by McDonald's on Mechanicsville Turnpike and feed them. And so I'm sure that those people that work there, they probably know you on a first name basis.
They do.
They do, I'm sure. But that's a testament to what you're willing to sacrifice for your program to be what it is, one of the premier programs that we have in the Richmond City area. So we're blessed to have you today, Coach. I want to say thank you as well. Going to turn it over to one of my brothers who I've been knowing since we were 7 years old, 8 years old. And so it's a pleasure for me to have him here on my show. And we will be featuring his son, Brandon, coming up in one of our future episodes. So we'll be talking to Brandon at a later date. But I want to say thank you to you as well, Dale SEAY.
Man, glad to be here.
Tell me a little bit about what it takes to make of course, everyone wants to know the formula. Everyone wants the LeBron James formula. But I'm sure as myself and Coach Watts and Dale, you guys can attest that there is no formula. It's a trial and error type thing. It's one of those things where you have to have good coaches, of course, to send your kids to, and you have to have coaches and teachers and guidance counselors and principals that you believe in. So tell me a little bit about how it is having a son in high school, junior year, sophomore year. Tell me what that is like for you and your wife.
Well, I mean, it's a big difference. It's a change after being a high school athlete, college athlete yourself, to trying to pass on that to your kid. Because times have changed, the mentality has changed, and the way things are done has definitely changed. you know, nowadays you have old school coaching and you have the new style of coaching, and just to be able to sit back sometimes and allow the coaches that are coaching your kids now to coach, even though you've been a part of that sport yourself or have done it at a level yourself, to whereas you want to sit back and you want to get involved. And there's nothing wrong with getting involved, but it's also a time you have to let the coaches do their job. So in that fact now, you know, just to sit back and watch my son play and try to pass on some things to him is a big challenge. You know, it's, especially knowing that, you know, today all the kids, they watch the LeBron James, the Steph Currys and everybody, and that's who they idolize. You know, whereas back in our days, we had our people that we idolized, the Michael Jordans and everything, but we also worked with each other. You know, and we worked to make each other better. So to see different changes, trying to change your mentality as to how you're going to raise your kid in an athletic environment, to also let them know that, you know, school is the thing that they need to focus the most on. You know, the sport is there, but school is what they need to be really focused on.
It's big what you're saying, and I think for those people that are listening, they understand that it's part of the village. I consider myself, of course, as a parent, I consider the coaches and the guidance counselors and the assistant coaches, the janitor, everyone who's in that building, I consider them to be a part of the village that it takes to raise the kids. So it's big what you guys are saying. It's big what you guys are doing. Coach wanted to get you to elaborate a little more on, I don't think people really realize what the process is to become, and not only to become, but to be a successful high school coach. So I wanted to get you to elaborate on that process, just what it takes, maybe give people an inside look into your day-to-day operation. I know you're in the building, and so you have a chance to be with your kids, your students, and your players. The good thing is that you're with them all day, 24 hours a day, if you will. So elaborate on that a little bit for us.
I think the two main ingredients to become successful on the level that we are. One is to stay hungry. I'm always trying to get better at what I do. I'm always asking another coach a question, or with technology, YouTube affords you the ability to pull up something that you may not know and see it, you know, visually, or reading a book about something you may not know. Also, real big, we mentioned the new style coach. Now more than ever than before, it's about relationships. Mm-hmm. It's about relationships. It's the old school is a one size fits all as far as coaching. You're dealing with 12 people in basketball, 12 to 15 people who are motivated in different ways and have different personalities, where you may be able to be stern or yell at somebody else may not be receptive to that. So you have to figure out all of that, and all the while building relationships is imperative to being successful. They have to know you care about them beyond basketball.
Beyond basketball, yeah. I think that ties into what Dale C is saying about the kid knowing, but also the parents have to know too. And I'm sure that it's a luxury to have a coach like yourself. If I were a parent like a Dale C, and I had a 15-year-old son who was playing for you, I would see it as a luxury, as a blessing to have someone like yourself who is on hand with these kids 24 hours a day. Of course, not 24 hours. You are accessible to them 24 hours a day. We were just sitting here right before we went live, and one of your students from last year called you just to check in with you. So I see you on the phone all the time, talking to your current and your past students. It's just one of those things where one of my coaching buddies told me, he says, man, if you're going to be a high school coach, you have to give 110%, because it's what the kids expect from you. It's what these kids need, especially Like myself, I'm from the inner city. I went to John Marshall, inner city raised, born and bred. Like all three of us, all of us are from the inner city. So it's probably a little more that those kids need as far as guidance and as far as staying on top of those guys and making sure that they are doing what they're supposed to. Of course, we understand that all kids can be mischievous and kids have a mind of their own. They do what they see their friends doing, but I'm sure it's an advantage for you being in your building, having a chance to say the small things. Like if they see Coach Watts on that corner, I know that I can't walk down there. He knows I'm supposed to be in class. And so I'm wondering, how do you see it as an advantage being in the building with your kids? How has that helped you over your period of time at Armstrong High School?
Well, even beyond that, as you know, I work recreation and parks.
Right. Yes, sir.
And I work in my community, the Fairfield, Mosby communities. So chances are I know you before you get to high school.
Right. Yeah.
And I've known you for a while and probably know your parent.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I can discipline you or say and do things that affords me to do because I do have that relationship before we even get to high school. Being in the school allows me a little more supervision as far as my athletes. I really pride myself on, in the mornings, my guys stop by my class. And it's not mandated that they stop by, but I can almost take a roll, an unofficial roll, and I know who's in school and who's not in school by 8:30, 9 o'clock. So, you know, that comes from, like I said, building relationships with them.
Right.
Now more than ever, when we were growing up, you know, I grew up in a single parent home,
Right.
but my mom was a rock and my grandmother was a rock.
Right.
These kids come from different backgrounds, and I think now they demand more from coaches.
They do.
To fill the voids that they have. So, you know, that's kind of a part of the job, and that's part of what you undertake as a coach in 2018.
This is true. This is true. Dale, tell me a little bit from the parental standpoint. What is it? Of course, like we said, your son Brandon is 15 now, and he's going into his second year. But when he first started the school, or take me to that process, take me back through the process where you and your wife were in the process of choosing a school for your son. What was that process like? Just walk us through that process.
Well, for us, the most important thing was education. Like right now, he goes to a school that's not visually noticeable as an athletic school. So that wasn't important for us, for him to go to a school where he can get visibility as far as for basketball, football, anything like that.
Right.
That's a luxury to us. Our main focus was education. But as he decided to, you know, take on sports and be a part of that athletic environment, that included us.
Right.
We knew we had to be a part of that as well, to be that support factor, which carries us into, you know, to and from school, to and from practice, to and from basketball games, home games, away games, just being that support for him so that he can continue to strive in what he wanted to do and things that he has vision for himself. So we wanted to play a role in that and be that support and that strength for him to go ahead and do that. But at the same time, we wanted to guide him through it, to let him know that even though that you're taking on this venture in your high school in your high school days, but we still want you to focus on school.
Right. Right. And that's hard, man. It's hard to tell a young kid. I'm sure for you guys as parents, you say, hey, here we are entrusting this young man with so much. So it's funny, I was at a high school, yesterday I was at a middle school game. And so I want to give a special shout out to the Manchester Middle School Majestic Lions. They were champions yesterday in their game, and I was there. I have a godson that plays for them. Dennis Parker Jr. And so wanted to give a huge shout out to Dennis Parker Jr. and all of those guys that are on that Manchester team. Coach Myers, Coach Fee, everyone, Mrs. Coleman. I had a chance to meet so many beautiful people, beautiful souls that were there cheering on their kids, and just support from the faculty, the parents. It was just a beautiful event. I had a chance to attend yesterday with the Parker family, Dennis Parker Sr. and his family. And so, of course, they were victorious. It made everything great, but I was really overwhelmed and taken aback by the support from the PE teacher, the counselor, the janitors, the cafeteria people. Coach, I'm sure that makes you feel good knowing that you have, of course, your eyes, like you said, you're in your building at Armstrong, but you also have the eyes of your fellow teachers, fellow coaches, fellow employees of that school. So it's kind of like, for an old guy like myself, it's kind of like video cameras everywhere, because the human eye to me can be better than a video camera. And so I would like to think that if those kids, or let's say you have a kid who is maybe thinking about not going to class, if he walks by and sees a video camera, he may say, oh, maybe that camera didn't see me. But if he walks by one of your staff members, or by one of your coaches, or by yourself, he can't say that no one saw me. So to have people on your team as part of that village, as I like to call it, it is big. Tell us a little bit about your support system and your staff that you guys have at Armstrong, and your basketball team. Just talk a little bit about your institution of education.
First and foremost, my administration is extremely supportive of us, of our program. We have a new administration, for the most part, a new principal, and then assistant principals have been there, for a while. But they are extremely supportive, and they understand the importance that sports has in the educational process. As far as the faculty, my guys know that they are at Armstrong High School. The basketball is probably the highest profile extracurricular activity in the school, and so you can't fly under the radar. They also understand that they can't do what a normal student can do without being noticed.
Right.
They will stand out and be identified by the faculty or the staff, as to, maybe being out of place or being out of line. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times that comes into play in their decision making as to whether I should or shouldn't participate in whatever was going on at the time. Mm-hmm. The school itself is, like I said, extremely important. Our guys understand how important basketball is to our school as well.
Right.
When we get back to school in September, everybody in the school is ready to fast forward to November to get the basketball season.
Yeah.
And it extends beyond the school. It extends out into the community. Mm-hmm. They understand that, the community is just waiting for us to be successful. We started off 1-3 this year, and I actually felt like I was letting people down.
Right.
As far as the school and the community.
Right.
And then when we flipped it, and right now we're currently 12-6. You still feel like you want to give more.
Right.
You want to give more. So it's a constant wanting to give back, give the community something to be excited about.
Coach, you said it. You hit it right on the head. For those of us that know you and have been knowing you, I've been knowing you myself personally since I was about 17 or 18 years old. And so for those inner city folks like myself and like so many of our listeners that know the demographic of the city of Richmond, they understand the importance and what the part of Churchill, what Churchill means to the city of Richmond. And so it's actually a part of town where my mother grew up, pretty close to your campus, pretty close to your school, 3 minutes away. And so Churchill, of course, going back, I'm telling my age here, but I also wanted you to elaborate a little bit. Every time I walk into your gym, you have a picture of Maxie Robinson on your wall. Huge picture. So many great people people that I call mentors, like Coach Mac Anderson. My mother, Lou Anderson, I think also went to Armstrong. And so just talk to me a little bit about Maxie Robinson and what he means to you. And for those kids, I'm sure you have thousands of kids who walk by that picture and have no idea who the gentleman is.
Absolutely. Well, he's, before every game, we line up for the national anthem, and his picture being on the wall is a reminder of what I strive for. Mm-hmm. I want to uphold the standard that was set by Maxie Robinson, Walter Penny, Charles Bonaparte,